Oklahoma and Texas, welcome to the SEC. It's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not the Big 12. It's not you're going to woke up and get some pancakes and then all of a sudden you have a good time. Yeah, now you're in October. You're going to get some dogs who've seen you.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Keith Adams. And on today's Throwdown Thursday edition, we're going to discuss Week 8 of the college football season. Segment 1, Power 4. Segment 2, Group of 5. And in Segment 3, we will talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. And thanks to Georgia, I was more entertained than before the Georgia game. But first, SEC. Good wins by Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Texas A&M, South Carolina, and Florida. Lackluster performance by Missouri and actually Vanderbilt. Come on now. We playing Ball State, and bad losses by Alabama and Kentucky. With us today, academic and athletic consultant for the CK Save Project, George Hocker. George, what's going on in the SEC? What's got your attention?
First, let's give props up to the Yankees because we back in the World Series, baby. Get them, Will. Anyway, I was looking over this all last night, and what is going on in the SEC is really detrimental to the SEC. They are cannibalizing each other, and I don't think we never thought about this, but they literally are. And it's not just happening in SEC; it's happening across the board in almost every league. You're looking right now at, if things go a certain way, you're looking at the only undefeated teams in the SEC is going to be like LSU and maybe one other school. So it's getting ugly right now. It is really getting ugly because Tennessee has to play Georgia. So one of them is going to knock one of them out. I think the reason I brought up LSU because they're still undefeated in the SEC. And they only have Alabama, but they got Texas A&M left too, which is next week. Texas A&M still sitting pretty because they got LSU and they might have one. They got Texas at the end. So the schedule makers, everybody still has to play everybody. So you could be looking at the LSU versus Georgia at the end of the year. Both of them with one loss in the conference, and talking about maybe two losses overall. So they've really cannibalized each other. So where we were looking before about how many SEC teams we're going to get in that 12, it might not be as many as we were thinking before because they're going to come in with like two losses, a number of them. So it's going to be interesting. It really is going to be interesting.
Well, what do you think about the SEC this week? And then, as promised from last week, I'm going to share the tie-breaking procedures in the SEC.
Just a couple things, man. I think Alabama is understanding that they still don't have a quarterback. They have an athlete. The dude, that brother is amazing, but he's not a quarterback. And he was making a lot of mistakes that were very crucial at the time. And I think that's why you have a 7-point loss. I mean, that was a team that they could have. And the defense is just not playing. They're giving up big plays, not very Alabama-ish football.
Yeah, secondary's terrible. Secondary's bad,
they're playing terrible. Yeah. Oklahoma and Texas, welcome to the SEC. It's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not the Big 12. It's not you're going to woke up and get some pancakes and then all of a sudden you have a good time. Yeah, now you're in October. You're going to get some dogs who've seen you. They've seen you a couple times. They've watched enough film. They've seen your tendencies. They come in, they're whooping you. And I think Texas, they did themselves a disservice by not even starting Arch Manning. I think they gave I think they did. I think they gave him a chance. I said, look, you're our guy. We want to believe you're a guy. You're healthy. You go out, you beat Georgia. And he just didn't expire. He didn't inspire anybody. I mean, even Arch Manning came in. He got the team low playing. They were hyped up. They're ready to go. Interesting where they go next week with quarterback because, I don't see that kid being I don't see that kid being a top draft NFL pick at all. So they have to sit down and say, who do we really want to start and figure out what's going on. And, but that's it for the SEC, man. We'll see it. They're going to, like George said, they're cannibalizing themselves. So we'll see who ends up in top.
I got a question. Will, so this was my thinking. Once you made the switch in the game last night, why not come out at halftime with Arch Manning under center? Why go back?
Confused.
New York.
They came back. I'm sure Texas I thought Georgia was very happy when they came out at Quinn Ewers came in. They were like, oh, all right, good. Because he didn't do nothing.
As I said that in the group chat last night. What are y'all doing? Arch Manning came in the game and ran for like 30 yards in his first play.
He got him a little. He got a little movement going. He got him going a little bit, and then you go to halftime and you take him out. I don't understand.
He missed a couple, and he missed 2 passes that were really close. That were going to be big plays for him.
Yeah,
he just needs to catch in rhythm. I think Texas overthink it, and they ended, tried to go back to the senior. Yeah. They have to make a change because they should have won that game.
Well, let me give you guys
Georgia could barely score. I mean, Georgia, if Texas had its normal scoring, if they had guys who were making big plays, scoring, Texas, they get 20, 30 points a game. That's a game. But, when you have this kid to come in, he's a good player. Trust me, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say he doesn't belong playing at Texas, but that stage was too big for him, and they need to put in Arch Manning.
All right, so SEC fellas, and for our audience, because this is going to come into play, tie-breaking procedures. 1 is head-to-head competition among tied teams. 2, record versus all common conference opponents among the tied teams. 3, records against highest, meaning best common conference opponents in the conference standings, and proceedings through the conference standings, and then cumulative conference winning percentage against opponents among the tied teams. So again, I'm not going to go 5, 6, and 7, but that is the tie-breaking procedures, and it is going to come into play. So let's move on to the Big Ten. Good wins by Oregon, Indiana, Wisconsin, UCLA, Maryland, 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 Michigan State, and there were no lackluster performances, but bad losses by Rutgers. You got to play better than that. Michigan's done. USC, Notre Dame is very angry with you right now. Iowa and Nebraska. Will, I'm going to start with you. What did you think about the Big Ten this week?
Man, let me tell you, Ohio State, Penn State, y'all got very happy. I know y'all very happy about what's going on. Y'all are going to move up. Texas lost. They're going to move up in the ranking. Man, I don't know. Michigan, we kind of expected Michigan. Michigan started hot. They're a good team. They get good recruits, but they don't have the same pizzazz that they had for previously with Harbaugh. You can tell they were going to wilt during the season. The Ducks, man, the Ducks are really surprising me. I can't lie. The Ducks are playing great.
Pitch the shutout.
I give them credit. You beat who's in front of you. That's all you can do. I'm not asking you. I didn't say they ain't beat no Texas, Oklahoma's. I can't beat them, but they beating who's in front of them. I think Ohio State is going to run into a buzzsaw with Indiana. I think they're not ready for that. They're not going to have Indiana's going to shock them in the face and punch them in the face and give them their best game. So I'm looking forward to November 23rd.
Oh man, George, I did say pitch. You like that? Anyway, what are you thinking about the Big Ten, man? And I know, Robert, Penn State's a fraud, but I'm rolling with it, man. George, it's on you.
I told y'all about that Indiana monster right there. Mike King and I laid it out for y'all. Well, look, it actually shaped up well for Oregon. Oregon going the last couple games, walking out. Oregon got it. They got every game they can win, so they're sitting pretty. And then you're talking about Indiana. Indiana's gonna make. Indiana's been kicking ass and taking names, and they can make a real name for themselves. Because as they walk out the door, they got Ohio State and Michigan on the way out the door at the end of their schedule. Penn State, well, look, man, they got there in a nice spot, but
they're gonna be like number 4 in the country or something like that. They could be 3 in the country.
And they still got. I'm still not believing in Penn State. They got Ohio State left on the schedule, which I got them losing. So you're talking about. Think of this. Think of this now. When they redid this, think of this. You're going to have a Big Ten championship game of Oregon versus Indiana. That is what we're looking at right now. And the Big Ten.
They're going to be pissed off. They're going to have nobody watching nothing.
Oregon and Indiana.
Is this volleyball?
Wow.
Is this?
Wow. I mean, I give
cross
Oregon
country.
Hey, look,
They ain't talking about football.
you ain't lying. I mean, I thought you every year Oregon's usually a contender, but everybody's like, oh, this is the Big Ten, blah blah. Oregon was for real; they wasn't playing around, and Indiana got something for everybody. Don't nobody want to go to Bloomington right now. Nobody wants to go to Bloomington.
That place was rocking.
Nobody.
They had Gus Johnson on the air is making fun. I am in Bloomington, Indiana, and it's not a basketball game.
And I'm gonna tell
everybody's so crazy.
Hyped.
And I'm gonna tell you right
now, so hyped. He was so hyped yesterday. He was
and nobody wants Indiana. Hey, look, and nobody wants Indiana at their house. They don't want it. I already got it. I'm gonna call it now. Indiana's gonna run the table on the way out the door, and it's gonna be Indiana, Oregon on the way out. Yeah, that's where we're gonna be with the Big Ten.
Right. Big 12, folks. Cincinnati, big win. Kansas, Colorado, much respect. Baylor and TCU, lackluster performance by BYU. Fellas, I'm at the gym, and I didn't know the results of the game, and I'm on the treadmill when they scored the touchdown, and I'm throwing it like it was real. And Iowa State, you got to play better. Bad losses by Arizona State. What a difference a week makes. Shouldn't have been talking trash. And, Coach, leave your kicker alone. This is a different day. So I got to get that out of the way. You can't say I'm going to have kicking tryouts and so forth when the internet trolls are like looking for reasons to no, that kid, he missed, sorry, but you can't do that. Anyway, Texas Tech bad loss, Utah bad loss. Will, you know how I feel about protecting players. You know how I feel about protecting players. And that coach didn't do it. George, Big 12, man. What are you thinking, sir?
BYU got a cakewalk in. Because they got none of the heavy hitters left. So, they got none of the heavy hitters.
They're going to mess it up, aren't they?
They might find a way. I was trying to start to believe in Iowa State. I was trying to. I looked at the record and I said, all right, Iowa State, maybe you're there. You got the all black on. People go to Ames and, there is an issue. But then they're going to come up, and they should have lost the game. Those last two plays, if you had looked at it, they were offsides on one of them, and they called that phantom pass interference on another. The touchdown, they were off. They false started. So it is. They were given one at home. I don't. The big thing with the Big 12 is props to. I really thought that Colorado was going to have problems coming down the stretch, but Colorado's been giving it to people. Hey, big ups to Coach Prime. I'm a believer. I got you bowl eligible because you're gonna get two more. You're gonna get one more.
Mm-hmm. So, you should be coach of the year, man. You should be. So you go from 1 to 4 to bowl eligible. That's what coaches do.
I mean, he might mess around and get 6 or 7 out of this whole deal because coming down the stretch, they don't have they already played a lot of the heavy hitters and they don't play Iowa State. So and they don't play Iowa State and they don't play BYU. So that Iowa State still got to play Kansas State, so that's going to be huge. So we'll see where everything ends up if Iowa State can get through and BYU comes through. My disappointment with Utah. They need a quarterback. I think the last 2 years have proved to us that Rising is just brittle, and they can't get. And this is one of those situations where you got dogs all around you, and you got problems at the most important position on the football field. And the problem is he's brittle. I mean, he's breakable, not unbreakable. He's breakable because every week something happens and he's out. I mean, I feel bad for the young man. He wasted his 8th year or 7th year in the program.
I believe he can get another year, George. So, if I'm not mistaken.
He can actually because I don't think he played. I think he played in the.
I don't think he played 4 games. He get another medical red shirt.
So he get another medical red shirt. Which, if he did, I wouldn't want him back. I just go ahead. I'm looking for a quarterback. That's what I'm doing because there's no reason Utah shouldn't have just mud walked this whole situation. But we'll see. But they're the disappointment, and the Big 12 is going to be Big 12's facing pretty much everybody else except Utah and Miami, except for Oregon and Miami are facing is cannibalized in the daggone in the conference, and somebody gonna come out of this joint on the lucky end. And right now it's looking like Oregon and Miami. So that's it.
All right. Will, what do you think about the Big 12? Again, shout out to Coach Prime. We'll talk a little bit more about that in segment 3, but I don't mind that loss. What are you thinking, sir?
Oh, I think from the beginning, I think we said if Prime can't get 5 or 6 wins to get the bowl, then I don't know what he's doing. You know, we looked at the schedule. They had some tough teams, and we definitely said that, man, they could get 5 games. But the way it's looking, I mean, if he ends up with 7, I see him in Florida State, Tallahassee after this year. I don't think, I mean, I mean, remember they got beat up by Duke. I know we haven't gone to the ACC yet, but they got beat up by Duke, and Prime has just got him playing well. I'm glad
maybe he could take Cam Rising with him since he's got a year of eligibility if he goes. Anyway.
And he don't want him. In the name of the great late Benny Green, Utah, they are who we thought they were. Oh. And, that's what it is. I've been saying the last 3 years, they are frauds. Cameron, I don't even want to say his name because I don't even want to be, either a fraud. I can't believe they saw this 2 years ago that he was a fraud. And I blame Utah for not either going to the transfer portal or really recruiting a real kid to come in. Because 1, he ain't it. And 2, if he's going to get wet, he's going to break like bread. He's going to get all soggy and get messed up. So I don't know why you don't have a competent, a quarterback ready to go. Even if it's a kid who's like, man, he's an athlete who can catch, run, throw a little bit. We ain't going to call too many plays. But I'm upset on that program. And they set up those kids and they did not put themselves in a position to win.
It is because you got a Big Ten style team who can run the ball down your throat and just literally brutalize you, beat you up sitting in Utah with no quarterback. And the reason for 3 years, because he gets hurt every year. So can you imagine?
Remember, he has won 2 championships, though. It was Pac-10, 12, whatever.
And he got hurt in the Pac-12 championship and has never been right since. If I go out and get Cam Ward, that's a top 3 team.
I tried.
That's a top 3 team right there. I mean, a legit top 3 team.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. ACC. Now we're there, Will. Good wins by Virginia Tech. Welcome back. SMU. I did get one thing right this year. Not a lot, but I got one. Wake Forest with a win over UConn. And NC State. Lackluster performance by Duke, Miami, and Clemson. No bad losses this week. Will, any thoughts on the SEC? The ACC.
Oh, man, anytime Florida State loses embarrassingly, I love it. Losing by Duke, I love it. Got beat up. Duke, I think, and I didn't look at the totals. I think they had 187 yards total.
187 yards total.
Total. And they beat them up. That's embarrassing. That your key card might not work when you go back to the facility on Monday. Like, that's stuff I'm saying. Like, that's the stuff they so embarrassed they would go and pick up a Prime, and say, here's all this money. Do what you're doing in Colorado. Do it here. Get it back to what we're doing. And we got the dogs here. I think that's what they're going to do. Shout out to North Carolina State. That's what they got to do. Clemson. Quietly winning. That's all you got to do. Just keep winning. And Miami, their defense is so bad. I mean, Cam Ward is good, but you can't win these games 52-45, 38-35. Like, that's not going to happen when it gets to like November and the playoffs. So I hope they tighten up. I don't think they're real. And Notre Dame.
Notre Dame's an independent, sir.
Sitting there. It don't matter.
I thought Georgia Tech was going to give them a little work, but
it don't matter because Notre Dame just sitting there pretty.
Yeah.
The top 3 teams that's sitting the prettiest out of all of this are Miami, Notre Dame, and Oregon because they have nobody left. If they run the table, it is it.
We're going to slide in Notre Dame, George. React to this. Notre Dame beat Georgia Tech, but they have Army and Navy on their schedule, and they're coming. And that's not easy wins.
Like I said, they got nobody left on their schedule.
They're in the top 25.
They got nobody left on their schedule.
Notre Dame will drop one. They're not built like that.
Look at the schedule. One. Who they gonna drop it to?
Army, Navy, USC are coming in.
George, I can see it. They are not. They look. They're teams. I'm like, there's certain teams that you're supposed to really pummel. You know what I mean? You beat Georgia Tech. I give you that. I don't got them beating Army and Navy. They're gonna lose one of them. I don't know.
Navy is next week.
One of them. Okay.
All right. We'll see. Okay. We'll get to that in segment 3.
Let me tell you this right now. Okay. Well, you gonna get to that. Let me tell you. Miami is gonna play lackluster through the rest of the season and come in undefeated, be a top 3 team. And because there'd be nothing you can do about it because everybody gonna beat everybody else up. And Miami has the best seat in the house right now for the college football playoff. The best seat in the house.
All right. So fans, in segment 2, we're gonna go power. We're gonna go group of 5, and see what's going on with them. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Safe Project, with a question for you. Are you passionate about supporting student athletes? If so, then become an official member of the CKA Safe Project and make a difference today. With your membership, you'll be able to help us provide essential academic and athletic support to underserved communities nationwide. Join us in empowering student athletes to achieve their full potential, both on and off the field. Together, we can build a brighter future through education and sports. Visit ckasafeproject.org and choose your membership level now. $25 is a bronze level membership, $50 is a silver level membership, and $100 is a gold level membership. Be a part of the change. Become a member of the CKA Safe Project today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. This segment 2, it's Group of 5 time, and I can't believe we're about to intensely talk about the American Conference, the American Athletic Conference. Good wins by Army, Navy. Temple is getting W's at football. USF has woken up. UTSA, Tulane, and Memphis, but it's too late for Memphis. No bad losses this week. George, you're not a believer in the military academies. Talk to me, man.
Hell no. You gonna beat up on East Carolina? Shit, the team was drunk. They were having hangovers when they came out on the field. I'm not even worried about that. And I've seen Navy live, man. I mean, they're still beating up on the Bucknells of the world. I'm not ready. I'm not putting the stock in yet to say, oh, here we go again. We're going to return to 1920. 4 horsemen in a cloud of dust. I'm not doing it. Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'm not a believer. Okay. They're good. They are good. They're competitive in their leagues. But once they got to play one of the real boys from one of, I don't think they're not gonna have enough. And I know Will's gonna sit there and tell me, oh, they're gonna get Notre Dame. No, they're not. They're not getting Notre Dame.
Will, the American. We'll actually talk about the American. What are you thinking, sir?
Man, it's gonna be whoever thought the game. One of the game of the years is going to be Army versus Navy. Who thought that? I didn't think that. It's very ambitious for them to beat Notre Dame. I think that's one of those games that Notre Dame could drop. Just, we're playing Army, we're playing Navy. I'm not saying that they're going to go out and just beat them up, but it has the ingredients for an upset. You have 2 teams coming in, feeling themselves, playing well, very well. They're not, and nobody's scared of nobody. Nobody. I mean, that's one of the biggest difference I've seen is that in the whole environment of college football, nobody's afraid of nobody. Nobody's afraid of Alabama. Nobody's afraid of Georgia. Even though Georgia beat, they still get people go at with them. But it's going to come back to Army and Navy, man, what they can do, and I still think one of them will upset Notre Dame. I'm sorry.
And Notre Dame does have some injuries. Shout out to Jake Shaw. I saw him at the Good Counsel DeMatha football game. Hey. And he's our Notre Dame correspondent. He said the injuries may catch up with him. Go ahead, George.
Look, we're going to see. I will believe in the Naval Academy. Their second to last game of the season. I think their second to last game of the season, they have to play Tulane. If the Naval Academy can beat Tulane, then I'll be like, okay, we might have some here.
But they would have already beat Notre Dame by then, possibly, sir.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see if that even takes place. Because right now with the American, it is Tulane. I never believed in Memphis. Remember at the beginning of the season, we were talking about Memphis, and I was like, I don't know. So until somebody beats Tulane, I'm not believing, because Tulane has been running roughshod over everybody in the conference. Tulane has 2 losses. They got a 1-point loss to I forgot somebody early, one of the big Power 5 early, and they barely Kansas State, which they got robbed. They should have won that game, and they barely lost to one of the other Power 5. So don't give me that. Tulane's for real. They're still the realest. They're still the real program in that conference.
All right, Mountain West Pac-2, good wins: Fresno State, Washington State, New Mexico. I dislike you, Robert. I talked to him yesterday. Colorado State and UNLV. Hey, quarterback, how you feeling? Okay, they're winning without you. Bad agent. Okay, bad losses. Oregon State. You got to get bowl eligible. You can't just depend on the Pac-2 money. All right, George, any thoughts on the Mountain West and the Pac-2?
Mountain West, the Pac-2. I'm still sitting there laughing about the Pac-2. Yeah, I have no real thoughts, except for, hey man, look, you got Oregon State's always gonna be a tough place to go to, but you go to Mountain West. My whole thing, what I love about the Mountain West, got me staying up late watching to see how many yards Cisse gonna run for people, because him and Boise playing, it's a show, baby. It is a show, because he gonna go for it. You know, one of these smaller teams, if he catch a UAB or something, he might go for 500 yards in the game. So that's thing's worried, you know.
All right, Will, Mountain West Pac-2. I'm still laughing at UNLV winning without the $100,000 or whatever. Again, hope it was worth it, as we say to students in the hallway. Hope it was worth
it. Oh yeah, we can call and see if he's gonna be on the Odd Coaches podcast, because he ain't doing nothing. So see if he can talk exactly what he was thinking about. Really, only thing about Mountain West is, Boise didn't play, and Ashton Jeanty, that's the guy. And I'm trying to catch him, but he's playing at like 10:30 at night every Saturday, so it's hard to catch him. But yeah, I'm still trying to catch him, and hopefully they get a good primetime slot, because the kid, the numbers just make you want to say, let me see what's going on. The dude has almost 1,250 yards in 6 games, 7 games, something ridiculous like that. So yeah, he's a show, man. So unfortunately, he didn't play this week. So at least he got
real quick, going on to that Mountain West, big shout out to my man QO alum running back out there at San Diego State. He's the fifth leading rusher. Marquez Cooper is the 5th leading rusher in the country right now out there at San Diego State. And it's never a bad thing when you get to go play Hawaii in Hawaii. So it's never a bad thing.
Yes, we'll enjoy that. Okay. Conference USA, this will be quick. New Mexico State with a good win. UTEP and Western Kentucky, no bad losses. They've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games. So by the time we come out, they would have played and we wouldn't have cared. So I'm making an executive decision to move to Sun Belt. Sun Belt, good wins by Marshall. Louisiana, ODU is quietly winning games. Georgia Southern and Arkansas State. But George, JMU lost. What's going on in the Sun Belt?
Yeah, I can't believe they took that L right there. And it drops them to 2 losses in the conference, with Georgia Southern sitting undefeated. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one finishes out. Texas State got 1 loss, but hey, I guess when you eat crawfish, it makes you a whole different individual. I guess all them kids that didn't get into LSU went to the University of Louisiana. But Louisiana has always had a good team down there. They had a dog fight with Tulane and came out on the short end. But hey, University of Louisiana is no joke. The Raging Cajuns are a problem for anybody in that lower tier, man. So they're going to be a tough one.
Well, Sunbelt, what are you thinking this week? Any notes?
Nothing much. I just love saying Raging Cajuns, man. They got one of the best names for college. I love it, man. I love it. Upset, upset about James Madison, JMU. I think they kind of, closed the books. And when they lost a couple weeks ago, they were like, they're not bringing it anymore. Yeah. No. It's unfortunate, and that's it.
Shout out to a good longtime friend, Russ Delaney, who did a lot of work at Paint Branch in the media department. He was a Raging Cajun. Actually, Kennedy, he was a Raging Cajun, had all kinds of Louisiana stuff at Kennedy. All right, Maction. Good wins by Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, Miami, Bowling Green, and Toledo. Bad loss by Northern Illinois, NIU, making Notre Dame look bad. Will, any Maction this week?
No Maction this week.
No Maction this week. George, any Maction this week?
I love that, dog. No Maction this week, dog. None whatsoever.
All right, finally, HBCUs. Good win by Tennessee State over Howard. Hampton got a win. South Carolina State got a win. Grambling got a win. Bethune-Cookman. Jackson State beat FAMU. And Southern got a win. Bad losses by A&T. Hampton ran them at their homecoming 59-17. That's not good. FAMU lost, and much love to Bowie State. I have no idea if you won the football game, but it was homecoming. And my sister and I will be there next year at homecoming. Probably not, but go Bulldogs. George, any HBCU love this week?
I mean, who's going to beat North Carolina Central? That's what it's going to come down to. I think they go one loss. And they've been running roughshod through the MAC and through the MEAC, and then I don't think anybody can handle them on the other side. So they're gonna be a tough out, man.
All right, sorry about that, Will, with Howard losing to Tennessee State. But anything going on?
On homecoming, damn.
I actually didn't go to any homecoming stuff for Howard. I don't think any of the players were really focusing on the game because
how can you?
When I was going through DC, I think they was worried about other things going on. I'm just saying. I don't think they was focusing on football.
How can you during that homecoming?
They wasn't practicing cover two.
No.
I'm sure Tennessee State tried to get out the hotel, see if they had some fun too. If they could get out there. Sure. But it's unfortunate, man. The biggest thing is, they're missing a lot of energy in Howard. I don't want to say it's directly because my boy Akil Russell, great coach, can really connect with the kids. They just don't have the same energy this year. It's kind of unfortunate for them. But I'm glad Hampton lost though. So
All right. In segment 3. We will talk about things strictly for entertainment purposes only. And thank you, Georgia, for increasing my entertainment. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast. This is Dr. Keith Adams, president of the CKA Save Project and author of Finding the Balance, my personal journey to academic and athletic success. This book is your key to unlocking the secrets of being a successful student athlete. Drawing from my 30-year career as a teacher and coach, this instructional guide offers a unique perspective on achieving success in both academics and athletics. With over 15 personal stories and insightful anecdotes, Finding the Balance is a must-read for student athletes, parents, coaches, teachers, and administrators. Visit www.ckasaveproject.org to get your copy and start finding the balance today. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 3. They're going to hold me solid with this. Here are the rankings. Fans, as you are reminded, we tape before they come out, but ours is better than theirs anyway. So 1, I still got Georgia winning the SEC. They're going to get that conference championship. I got Oregon. I got Clemson winning the ACC. I got Iowa State right now. But the Big 12, it could be one of 3 teams. And Boise State's, in my opinion, going to get the group of 5. They've got the best shot at it. Next 7, Ohio State, Texas, LSU. You right, George. They just hanging around. Penn State until otherwise noted. Miami, BYU keeps hanging around. And if Notre Dame can run the table, they're not going to keep them out. Outside looking in, shockingly, SMU, Texas A&M, Kansas State, Indiana is right there. And believe it or not, if Army or Navy can get one of these wins, they got a shot. So, George, any thoughts on the rankings this week?
Oregon's going to go to number 1. Then you're looking at, I guess it's probably going to be Penn State, Ohio State, and Georgia. Miami, and Miami's going to move up. So Miami will probably be in the top 4, top 5 as we're looking, which is crazy to think. I hate to tell you this, but LSU going to win the SEC.
Yeah, they got a shot, man.
LSU's going to win. And I said this before at the beginning of the year when we were doing the preview. I said, you got to watch out for them Bayou Bengals. They're going to be good. They're going to win the SEC. They got.
And before we get to you, Will, we only do the playoffs, guys.
Right.
Fans, we only do the playoffs. So you got 5 conference champions. That's done. And then you got 7 slots left. And how many SEC? A 2-loss SEC team is still better than that trash in the Big 12. But how many SEC teams will they put in? How many Big 10 teams will they put in? I don't know. Will, what do you think about the rankings this week?
The rankings, I mean, they've been changing, which is good. And I think NCAA wants the parity, enough parity, so people are still watching. You know, they don't watch the super bums getting up there. But it's very interesting, man. I want to see when the dust, settles, who's going to be out there. Could be LSU. I mean, like George says, I mean, they're playing pretty well. Chip Kelly's got them playing ball really.
Brian Kelly.
Yeah,
don't put Chip Kelly on that. Don't put Chip Kelly on them now.
I don't like either one of them. I think they both kind of but it is what it is. It's the Kellys. So, but I think he knew he had to do some winning. So he's really got his team out there focused. He's one of those teams that they're very balanced in terms of the recruiting, the transfer portal. That's what Florida State's wanted. That's what a couple other teams wanted in that balance, but they don't. But you always get them one teams, But trending, LSU is looking the best. I think trending they're like 5 up, they're like 5 spots up. So like George says, man, I wouldn't be surprised if they won the SEC if they don't, collapse and have a loss to, Vanderbilt or somebody like that. But we'll see what happens.
I was thinking, I'm saying that because I'm looking at schedule wise, what you got left. LSU's got Alabama and they got Texas A&M, and then they ride out for the most part. I mean, yeah, they got Vanderbilt who could get tricky, Diego could get tricky on them or whatever. But, they're all games that LSU is going to be up and hyped for. You're going to get some of them in Death Valley. So at least 1 or 2 in Death Valleys, which is where if you're a top ranked team, hopes go to die down there at LSU. If you got to play LSU in LSU and you're a high ranked team, that's a problem. So that's a whole issue. So it's going to be good.
Nah, don't get caught sleeping, Texas. Don't get caught sleeping, in Kyle Field. Don't get caught sleeping, and don't get caught sleeping in the swamp. And I think outside of that, they got a real solid chance.
Well, the swamp's a whole nother story this year. So
they got to win, though. They got to win.
They did.
It's been up. They winning enough that the coach can keep his job for the season.
They did
for the season.
But I'll tell you this though. Oregon's probably going to be our number 1 team for the rest of the year. They're going to be they're going to be sitting on top for the rest of the year.
So do you think LSU? What happens if LSU loses to Alabama in 2 weeks? Well, I guess.
What happens if Alabama loses to LSU? That guy's going to have to find a place to live.
LSU. Well, let's put it like this: Alabama right now is out of the picture. Okay. Mm-hmm. Alabama, if LSU loses to Alabama, it really mudders the water. It's going to put everything on that Georgia-Tennessee game at the end of the season. Because, and it's all, that game's already going to be big, but it's going to put even more onto that game right there. Like, if Texas A&M or LSU go through and run the table, that gives them their seat where they need to be. Then it's going to be the winner of that Georgia and Tennessee game at the end of the year. And it is what you want to know what's funny about all this? We're sitting there having a conversation. Where's Ole Miss, who was ranked the number 4 team in the country?
Please, come on. We told them they weren't real.
Yeah,
we told them they were playing cupcakes all season, and then finally got some banana bread, and they couldn't handle it.
Got dumped. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be that everything's going to be sitting on that Georgia Tennessee game at the end of the year, because LSU and A&M go at it next week. So the winner of that game is sitting in the driver's seat. So we'll see We'll see what's up.
All right, so season-long bets. SEC took the over with Georgia and Missouri, and I'm at a restaurant. Missouri got the win at the end.
If I could throw a snowball or something at you right now, that's sorry, Missouri.
Hey, they can win, and 4-1 is doable, and I win and go to the pay window. Big Ten, I got Maryland and Oregon with the overs. Maryland surprised me with the win. They've got 5 games left, but 3-2 is going to be hard for them with that schedule. Oregon should take care of business. Big 12, I took Colorado in the under. Next win, I lose, but that's okay. And I got roped into Utah because Cam Rising's 27 years old, and I thought he could make it through the season. So ACC, NC State won't get the over, but SMU hopefully will. 3-2 is doable as we close. Independence, Notre Dame, they've got to go 5 out, and I don't know if they could do it because they got injuries. UMass will lose enough for me to win. The American, I got Memphis, USF, and they got the overs. It's doable possibly, but UAB, congratulations to Trent Dilfer. I don't like you. I won that bet. Okay, I took the under, and they ain't going to make it. Okay. Mountain West, Pac-2, I'm riding with Boise, and they are the best story in the country because that running back is box office, and we need to get them in, and I lost the New Mexico bet, so I'm going to move on to Conference USA. Liberty has to win all the way out, but the question is, if they lose, will they give me my money back because they're not going to play a game? Probably not, but it's $5. Okay. FIU, I don't think you're going to make it. Texas State, Georgia in the Sun Belt. They got 5 games left, and I don't think 5-0 is going to happen. So I think I will lose that. In the MAC, we've got Toledo and Western Michigan. Both of them can hit the over. So we're going to hold on. But in terms of this past week, I was 3-4. My showcase game was Georgia plus 4.5. Texas wasn't ready for Georgia. You've got to be in these kind of games on a regular basis to get good at it. And Texas last year wasn't playing these kind of teams every week. So it's not often you can get Georgia as an underdog, so I took advantage of it. However, I did a 2-play with Oklahoma minus 1.5, and that was done at the end of the first quarter. Kansas State took care of business. They're hanging around. My 3-play, check this out, fellas. Nebraska plus 6.5, Rutgers minus 4.5, and Arizona minus 2.5. 1, 2, 3, loss. So, and then my 4-play, Missouri got the win. Cincy got the win. LSU got the win. Alabama, what are you doing? Okay, throwing picks and all of that. The over, I took USC at Maryland, watched it to the end, cheered a little extra when they got the touchdown because that made it 57. The under, I was teased. New Mexico versus Utah State was 77.5. Oh, yeah, let me take 77.5. Then Bama scored 100 points combined. Like, what in the world? Anyway, my upset of the week was Georgia. George, did you do anything strictly for entertainment purposes only this past week?
No, I didn't touch it. And it's hard to touch it these days because it is so unpredictable right now. So no, I ain't touch it this week.
All right, Codman, anything strictly for entertainment purposes only?
I stayed away from college for the same reason, George. I don't know.
I got a show to do, so we got a show to do.
I'm gonna do it. Keith, in 2 weeks, Keith, that Missouri team you've been talking about got to go to South Carolina.
We're just trying to get some wins.
I don't think that's a place they really want to be.
I did not expect that Oklahoma again after getting run in the Red River rivalry at the Cotton Bowl. I thought they'd be coming out frothing. Does Venables last? Can he make it through? Because he ain't winning.
He ain't got enough. Look, man, he does not have enough to be in the SEC down there. So he got to do some heavy recruiting. And for all of y'all that thought, and for all of you all that sat up here and thought it was easy to go to South Carolina, we said at the beginning of the season, you better watch out because they got some dogs down there. And they got some dogs down there. Just ask Alabama and Missouri. They got some dogs down there.
All right, week 9, game of notes. Boise, UNLV Friday. We'll be able to see that game. Hopefully, it's not too late. Texas is traveling to Vandy. I'll be in Nashville in a couple of weeks, so I'm looking forward to that. Missouri is playing Alabama. I think I'll get some ribbing in the group chat on that one. LSU is playing Texas A&M. We'll reach out to Robert and see what the thoughts are down in Texas. BYU against UCF. Kansas against Kansas State. Nebraska against Ohio State. Notre Dame versus Navy in MetLife Stadium. OCP correspondent Jake Sharlow will be in MetLife Stadium watching Navy and Notre Dame. Washington versus Indiana. Can Washington mess everything up for Indiana? Oklahoma versus Ole Miss. I was excited about that until I saw what South Carolina did to Oklahoma. UNC versus UVA. Shout out to Tony Bennett. Sometimes it's time to go. Illinois against Oregon. Illinois is ranked, George. Can they do any? Oh,
and
okay. All right. Northwestern against Iowa. Maryland and Minnesota in a battle of who can get to a bowl. FSU's traveling to Miami. Okay. SMU against Duke. Shout out to Percy Moore and the Moore family. Penn State against Wisconsin. They got to go to Wisconsin. Is this the game that the boogeyman gets? I don't know. And finally, Cincy against Colorado. Who would have thought that will have a little more juice since he's coming off a big win? Colorado's coming off a big win. Next win for Colorado gets them bowl eligible. So we've got a lot going on, man. Will, anything interest you for next week?
Oh, just because we had this conversation, Notre Dame versus Navy, I'm gonna definitely focus on that. I'm gonna make sure I'm close to my phone. Make sure I'm ready for my texts, ready to go. I'd be excited FSU versus Miami because usually that'd be a game, but FSU is so bad.
I didn't know it was one win. I didn't know that.
And a lot of those kids are from the transfer portal, so I'm not going to say they're from Florida anyway to have the rivalries. So it's unfortunate. And I think there's going to be a really good, exciting Oklahoma versus Ole Miss. I think they're right around the same in terms of their talent, but we're going to get a lot of points. A very exciting game. I don't care who wins, but it's going to be very entertaining.
George, anything catch your eye?
Of course, I'm going to be right in front of the TV for that Colorado-Cincinnati game because I got Prime getting bowl eligible right there. And to me, the marquee game, and I hope they put it on at 7:30, is going to be that LSU and Texas A&M game. That game's going to decide the SEC. Okay, so I got to see who it is because whoever wins that game's in the driver's seat and I'm betting it's going to be the winner of that game versus Georgia in the SEC championship because I think Georgia will beat Tennessee, and then it'll be that. Outside of that, man, I ain't even gonna watch that Notre Dame. I'm gonna sit here and listen to y'all go ahead and text me as I'm like, my bad. You were right. So I'm gonna go ahead and let that go.
All right. So on behalf of our cavalcade of stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. And we will see you on the sideline. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills, to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress, to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.